Hello everyone, welcome to Truth Walk. This is a new Christian channel that I'm bringing up that goes into Bible study, but today we're going to talk about Star Wars instead because I am a huge Star Wars fan, and these last few months have been really tough watching what's going on with the Star Wars universe, Disney, and the fandom. It's really been a dark time. So, like a lot of you over the last few months, I've lost faith in what Disney is doing with the franchise and feel as if they're just not listening to what we want. And what we want is good stories and good writing that honor the universe. That's what's going on. I think The Last Jedi really destroyed a lot of that, and I didn't have a problem with The Force Awakens. I thought that was pretty good, although it's not good to watch now that you see what happened with Last Jedi. Rogue One, I think, was good, standalone, so that was fine, but man, The Last Jedi, what they did with that movie, I mean, I could go on for hours about what they did with that movie. I actually walked out of that movie depressed for the first time ever in my life, walking out of a movie or ending a movie, and I just, felt horrible. And if you want more detail about what's going on with that movie, like I said, I'm not going to go into it. That would make a really long video. A couple of people that did really good reviews on that. So Dishonored Wolf is a YouTuber. The video has about 1.5 million views now. There is swearing in the video if you guys don't like that, but he does an excellent job. I'll link it in the description. And then if you want more of a dissection of what happened with that movie, there's a YouTuber called Mauler who is also a big Star Wars fan, and he did a 3-part series on it. I think it's about an hour and a half total over the 3 parts, but he just goes in depth. So I'll link both of those in the description. For me, just a short what I got out of that movie, I sat there. 3 things popped in my head when I was watching that movie. One was Muppet Babies. I mean, that Canto Bite scene just made me think I was watching the Muppet Babies. It just seemed so childish and meant for like a 4-year-old. So the other one was I thought of O.J. Simpson for some reason. That slow chase scene with the running out of fuel, which doesn't make sense. Why is there fuel when you have inertia? But that just reminded me of the white Bronco going down the highway. It's like there were so many things they could have done in the movie and in that situation to end it faster, but it's just horrible writing. And then there's that scene from Force Awakens when they're trying to get into Starkiller Base, and Finn basically says he doesn't have a plan, and then he tells Han, we'll use the Force, and Han says, well, that's not how the Force works. And I thought of that like 4 times during the movie. The Leia Poppins scene didn't make sense, where Yoda was able to interact with the environment as a ghost and call down nature in lightning to do that. That didn't make sense. It's just the Skype call that they were doing with Reylo didn't make sense. Luke's transformation with the ghost thing didn't make sense. I mean, it just never heard of anything like that in any of it. I just don't think Rian Johnson knows what he's doing with writing a movie. I think he needed help, or I don't know, like they do, military police advisor on shows to try and get you an idea of an actual feel. He needed to do that with Star Wars, bring in someone that actually was a fan of the movies. So I'm going to go over what I think they should do with Episode 9 and just detail what they can do to bring back the fans. Now, I think before that, right now, today, they need new direction. They need to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, Rian Johnson, bring in someone who's a lover of Star Wars and who can write with the fans. I mean, I think Jon Favreau, who was part of the Iron Man series in the early beginnings, and now he's supposed to have some sort of series or something, he should be someone like that put in charge of financial, and then take the guy that does Clone Wars and put him in charge. I can't remember his name right now. Put him in charge of creative. I think he would do an excellent job. So that was my thought. If you want more information about what Disney can do to bring back the fans, there's a YouTube channel called Generation Tech that does a 10-point video. It's pretty short about what they can do to restart the relationship with the fans, so you can watch that. But here's what I think for Episode 9. So here are my thoughts on how to start Episode 9. And this is just the first 5 minutes or so, and the goal is going to be to fix the fandom, fix the storylines that Rian Johnson left, and just kind of get the fans back into it and excited. So I would start with a dark hallway with, you can hear feet walking down it, and then at the bottom you'll have a text that just says, like 22 BBY or something. So it just kind of sets the scene. So as the footsteps walk past, they open on a door. Inside the door there's a bed chamber. In front of it you see a woman who looks almost exactly like Padme, because somebody has a type. And they're kind of hustling and bustling. There's people in the room. You see stormtroopers standing guard, and they're all getting her ready for something. And then one of them says he's coming, or the master's coming, and they all leave her in there and close the door behind her, including the stormtroopers. Then you hear the footsteps again, heavier this time, music in the background, and you also hear the breathing. So you know who it is. And as the door knob starts to open and it starts to swing wide, it fades to another door. And that door is someone walking through, and you see the same girl standing in a room, but it's cheaper looking. It's an old hut type thing, and she's 9 months pregnant. So, and the people are saying to her, oh, we got to move. They're coming. They're going to find us, that sort of thing. So they escort her out. They jump on a ship and fly off, and they're discussing where to go and what to do. And they're talking, oh, we should go to the rebellion. We should find someone that can help us. They can hide us. And the girl that looks like Padme is saying, no, I don't want anything to do with the rebellion. I don't want him, emphasis of him, involved in all of that. I've seen what he does, not him the baby, but him the father, to people that are a threat to him or that could challenge him. I want him, meaning the baby, to have a normal life. So they discuss, okay, well, what are we going to do with them? And then one of the guys goes, I know somewhere we can hide, somewhere where they'll never find us. And they go, well, where is that? As they go towards it, you fade up to the planet, and the person says, Jakku. So then you fade away from that planet, and you fade to another planet, and that planet is going to be Actu. So you see a ship zoom by, kind of like the beginning of A New Hope. It zooms by towards the planet, and a shuttle lands in the same area where the Millennium Falcon was, on the island where Luke was. But instead of the people from Millennium Falcon, Rey and Chewie, coming out of the ship, you have 5 to 7 masked people. They're going to be the Knights of Ren. So they come out of the ship. Now, if you've ever seen the Old Republic games, such as the MMO that was out, that was kind of like the third part of the Knights of the Old Republic, you have scenes where you have a bunch of people in masks that are the Sith warriors of that era. So that's what I would want these people to look like, the Knights of Ren. So they're all Force users, they'll have lightsabers, massively strong, but they all have unique characteristics so that you can differentiate them between one or the other. So like I said, like 5 to 7 of them. And they just start wiping things out. So taking out everybody on the planet, so lifting up porgs in the air and just exploding them, throwing them in the ocean, massacring and impaling all the frog hermits, and then kind of going old Dragon Ball Z style where they're just wiping out the landscape. So taking out buildings, taking out any sort of formations they can find as they search the planet, trying to find if Luke's there, what's going on, what they can figure out. They work their way up to that top pinnacle area where we last saw Luke when he was looking out on the suns at the end of Last Jedi, and there's nothing there. There's no Luke, there's no Luke's robe, nothing. So they do like a holocall, one of them being holocall to someone to report in, and they call him Supreme Leader, but they don't give him a name. It's like another guy in a mask, and they say he's not here, nothing's here. So as they're talking, it fades out and it pans over, and you see the area where Luke's X-Wing was in the water, and he's gone. So at this point, you would have the scroll going up like a normal Star Wars movie telling you what's going on. But we needed this information ahead of it to kind of retcon what Ruin Johnson did about everything, so we can get excited about what's to come. So what does this do? So Rian Johnson in the movie Last Jedi, he made it where Rey's parents were nobodies, drunkards, blah, blah, blah. Well, we can still keep that. But her grandfather was Vader. So we never hear the name Vader. You just kind of get the ambiance feel of it was Vader. So you can kind of tell a story in between if you want to about that Vader's son grew up on Jakku, an angry, misguided man with no understanding of what he was or the powers he had, got in with the wrong crowd and everything, and then ended up getting killed, after Rey was born by whatever smugglers or people that he turned against. But it fixes that. So then you have, Reylo, if you want, but now they're cousins, I think. So the second part there, when you see the Knights of Ren, you bring back in a villain that can fight, that can be a challenge to Rey and anybody else that's going on there. So, but you introduce them as strong characters. I really think you're going to have to make this a 2-part movie with everything going on. What they do at the island is they just basically wipe out everything that Rian Johnson set up. So all the cute little porgs, gone. All the little comic relief hermit frogs, gone. You just wipe out the entire island, and it's a symbol and a signal to the fans saying, what Ryan did here is not what I want to do. I'm going to make a Star Wars movie where lightsabers actually hit lightsabers, and there's actually Force users, and it's interesting. It's not some little, I don't know what that was, but it fixes all that. Then you go to the scroll. I really think we need to have a 3 to 5 year jump in the timeline to really set things in motion. Now, what was going on with the Supreme Leader there, going back to the Old Republic days in that online video game, if you ever played that, and I do highly recommend it. It's kind of free. There's restrictions on it, but in terms of storytelling and character development, it's very well done. You have a bunch of different classes, and I can go into that if you want. But one of the storylines in there, and this is kind of spoiler if you do plan to play it, is the Emperor in that timeline dies and then is able to transfer its entity, I guess you would say, into another person, basically possess their body, and he continues on. So he's become so powerful with the dark side that he can't die. His body can die, his flesh can die, but his spirit is at one with the Force or something like that. So I would do that with Snook, which is why he wasn't worried about getting killed and why he was so careless, because he knew that he couldn't actually be killed. He would just be able to transfer his entity into another. And that can be the form you saw on the holocall with the Knights of Ren calling in. He's still the Supreme Leader, but maybe he doesn't go by Snook anymore. And you can have the voice be the same if you wanted to. Or another thing to bring him back is to have him kind of come back like Darth Maul did, where his legs were, taken off like Darth Maul did, and then in the Clone Wars series and in Rebels they brought him back with artificial legs, so you could do that as well. What I think they really need to set up is Snoke as the villain, and then 3 to 5 years down the line, as the scroll goes away, you would fade out and come into 2 lightsabers making contact. So something we haven't seen in 3 movies is 2 lightsabers making contact. As it zooms out, you see one of those Knights of Ren with the distinct pattern on his armor and his helmet as well, fighting against Rey. So landscape doesn't really make a difference, but they're going back and forth and fighting. Eventually, after maybe 3 to 5 minutes of them fighting, the Knights of Ren gets the upper hand, knocks down Rey, is about to put a finishing blow, and then he gets impaled through the back by a red crossguard lightsaber. And as it zooms out more, you see Kylo. And as the guy falls to the ground and dies, he reaches out to her and he goes, "Here I am saving you again." So that does a couple things. So it puts them together so that Kylo has come to the light and has become with his family, with his cousin. But then also that Rey is not all powerful, that he's been fighting alongside her and he's been saving her. And then as it pans over a little bit, you see Luke run into the room or run onto scene, and he says something to the effect of, we gotta go, there's more coming. So to me, I just think that would be an awesome opening where you have a small group of rebels fighting against the First Order, because the way the storyline's set up, with the Republic destroyed, the Resistance destroyed, the First Order destroyed, what you would have in this entire universe is civil war, with all kinds of different factions fighting against each other. So you'd have the First Order and the Knights of Ren trying to track down Luke and Kylo and Rey, and then the Republic trying to reform itself and getting some sort of resemblance of what's going on. So in terms of the rest of the movie, I think it would be awesome if they had Leia died off screen. You know, that can be in the scroll. Poe is now the leader of the Resistance. Finn is the top pilot, so he's an X-Wing pilot now. He's taken Poe's place. And then someone like Rose Tico, rewrite her, make her a better character, make her like a bridge officer, and then just make this about them trying to bring more order back to it. In the end, I think of the second part of the movie, in 2 years after this part one, and that would be part two. You have the big battle. You can bring back Snoke. You can have all kinds of stuff going on with the Knights of Ren. But I think that in the movie would be awesome for me. I mean, to have actual Jedis fighting, to have a Resistance trying to rebuild, and chaos everywhere, and there's just so much you can do with that storyline. And I don't know if JJ can do that, but I just think it'd be awesome. So that's my thoughts. I think it'd be really cool if they brought in, since all of them are the offspring of Vader, if they brought in like Vader's castle on Mustafar as they were, going into what's going on. You could also bring in someone like Maz, whatever their name is, and have her talk about that she knew that Rey was the granddaughter of Vader, and that she was aware of her father and what happened, all that stuff, and tell a backstory if you wanted to. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you think that's interesting, if that would be something that would excite you. If Disney actually put people in place that weren't Kathleen Kennedy and Arun Johnson, and put someone in place that was like, hey, you fans, we want to bring you back to the fold. We don't condone any of you being hateful or any of the isms that they always talk about that are mostly made up, but you as fans that just want better stories and better characters, we understand, and we want you to come back. So let me know what you think. Let me know if that sounds interesting to you, and post a comment, and maybe we can get a discussion coming. So as always, thanks for watching the video. God bless.